Hello. We're going to set up and wait for folks to show up. But today, oh, stop it. Yeah, got it. We are playing with chocolate. I had something else in mind for class today, but last night I just decided I wanted to do chocolate. So I got this new cacao company in, and I've been obsessing with playing with them. And so we're going to use them, Firefly cacao. It's 100% cacao, and it's harvested. It's a fair trade, very, very ethical, really, really mindfully sourced cacao from Belize, where it's grown by about 300 different indigenous family farms, Quechua and Mayan people, and they give them fair trade and support. They're setting up regenerative landscaping, mindful of their traditional practices already, and it's a really nice relationship. So I like using that one, but we'll kind of show some of the options that you can use for whatever cacao you happen to have. Good morning, Stacy. And this is just super easy. This is a super easy recipe, and it's a great way to carry herbal medicines into your body. Cacao in itself, if we use a high quality one, right? That's the disclaimer for pretty much anything that we do. If we use high quality ingredients, they're really, really nourishing and very, very supportive to us. And certainly cacao is extraordinarily so, particularly when it's 100%, and you're just really mindful of choosing all of the ingredients that you're throwing in there. So I'm going to work as I chat, because we're going to need a little bit of setup time here. So the ingredients that we're going to be using, super easy. You can use heavy cream if you want to use a dairy cream. I'm using a coconut cream for this one. I'm not a vegan. I'm an omnivore, and sometimes I'll make this with the heavy cream, and it's yummy. And sometimes I make it with the coconut cream, and it's also yummy. So you do you. But I'm going to use half of this 13-ounce can of coconut cream. I'm not going to weigh it out. I'm just going to eyeball it. Coconut cream, not coconut milk, but coconut cream. It's the stuff that rises to the can of coconut milk if you have a really good pure one that doesn't have emulsifiers in it. So you can also just kind of scrape off and keep those, but this is just a pure one. This one does have some guar gum in it as an additional thickener. I would love to find one that doesn't have guar gum in it. Oh, I would also love to plug in the hot plate. There we go. So if you know of one that doesn't have guar gum in it, put that in the comments. Good morning, everyone. Hi, all you. You get migraines from chocolate. Any other options? Yeah, another video. Sorry, this video is going to be totally chocolate-centric. But I'm sure you could probably alter this to use other powders, as we're going to be kind of looking at. And yeah, sure, carob is certainly one of them. As a child of the 70s, I had altogether too much carob growing up, with people trying to tell me it tastes just like chocolate, and carob doesn't taste like chocolate. And once I realized that, then I was able to enjoy carob for being carob. Carob is a lovely flavor, but not when your parents are trying to tell you it tastes just like chocolate, because it doesn't. Oh God, this is so beautiful. So what I'm doing is I'm just melting down the coconut cream. So the chocolate, I'm using the 100% cacao, so it's unrefined. It's the cacao. These things are so good. Look, they're little discs of just the unrefined cacao. It's so good. Absolutely unsweetened. So you could also use dark chocolate for this. You could use a dark chocolate bar. You could use chocolate chips. Grab your own chocolate chips. You can use a cocoa powder. This says cacao powder. Lots of people just use cacao and cocoa interchangeably. And what even is the difference is something that people tend to kind of go back and forth. For me, the differentiation is that cacao is unrefined and still has the cocoa butter in it, where cocoa has been refined with the cocoa butter removed and is now a powder that is going to be added to various different things. And then chocolate is more is a recipe using those. Because the powders have had the cocoa butter removed, to make the powder something like this, you just throw the cocoa butter back in. So if you use a cocoa powder, you're going to use equal amounts, a 1-to-1 ratio by weight of the cocoa powder to cocoa butter. And that will give you basically this, and you could move forward with the recipe. If you're using a chocolate bar or chocolate chips, then you would just use those in the recipe and not add in the sweeteners that I'm going to add in. So, so lots of options there. So I'm bringing the coconut cream to a simmer. Move these. Bringing the coconut cream to a simmer, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the no Guargum and Trader Joe's. TJ's comes through. I was so pleased when they got the new coconut milk that also was like pure organic coconut milk in a can. That's it. Nothing else. No carrageenan, no nothing, which is great. The last time I bought cocoa cream there, it was not the thing. So thank you for that. I will get theirs. Turn off. Okay, so this is up to a simmer now. So I'm going to turn the heat off as much as you can with an electric heating element. Now I'm going to use the cocoa cream to infuse some herbs into here. And so I'm using a half a cup of the cocoa cream to a half pound of cocoa, of the cacao discs, okay? So a half a can. The can is your standard 13 ounces, what it is for coconut cream. So half that, half pound of the cocoa, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of herbs into here, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of herbs infused into here. So the herbs I'm fusing into this one are rose, some beautiful red organic rose petals, and some of you already know this is coming, and some Damiana, because I just love the blend of Damiana and rose. So I'm going to take about a tablespoon of each of those and add them to the coconut cream and stir that in. So I'm using the coconut cream as a solvent to extract the flavors of the Damiana and rose into it. Now that doesn't need a long time because they're leafy and aromatic compounds, and actually I want to minimize extraction of the tannins, right? Rose, because all rose family plants are like this, rose has a high amount of tannins in it. So I want those aromatics. I don't care about the pigments, which aren't going to like the high fat here anyway. I want the aromatics. No, that's mostly what I want. So I've got this blend of Damiana and rose in the coconut cream, but I don't want to have those in the finished product because they're fibrous. They're woody and fibrous. So I'm just going to strain them out, and I'm going to strain them over. I'm going to strain them over the pot of chocolate so that the heat from the cream is going to start melting the cacao discs. All right. So, and I'm going to press all of the cream out of the plant material. I could have left that a little bit longer, but I didn't. And that's okay. And I'll talk about some alternatives, how to tweak this recipe, as soon as I get all of this kind of done and set. This is seriously so easy. All right. And now I'm just going to stir that in. And you can see that that residual heat is melting the chocolate. It melts at a pretty low temp. So now I might need to blast it with a little bit of heat. I might need to throw it back in there because I was like chatting and all of that and didn't get it moving as quickly as I could. We don't want to overheat the chocolate. I think I'm going to throw it back in here and just give it a little shot of some heat. We don't want to overheat it. There's that fine line between overheating the chocolate and not having it melt appropriately. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of heat there. And then I'm also going to be adding, I swear the flavor of this is so good. I don't even really need to add sugar to it to my mind, but I'm gonna. So this can take a little bit of a sweetener. I see y'all chatting, and I will get to those comments in just a moment. I'm just kind of racing against the clock. Once you start playing with chocolate, you kind of need to like focus on it because it's fickle. So I'm going to throw some coconut sugar in there. I like coconut sugar. It's a nice sweetener, low glycemic. It's got some good amount of fiber in there, and it's got kind of that caramely flavor that goes really nicely with this. So we're just going to melt that chocolate. So I've got that in there, and then I'm going to keep on tasting things. I want to show you a tasting trick that I saw on a YouTube cooking show, because I love YouTube cooking shows, and it just kind of blew my mind because it was one of those of course things that you never think of. And that is, I'm going to turn that off and just let that residual heat melt those. 2 spoons. You only need 2 spoons to taste things when you're cooking. You always want to cook taste as you're cooking, right? But you can go through like a bucket of spoons. So one is your tasting spoon, the other is the dipping spoon. So you take some with your dipping spoon and you put it into your tasting spoon. And this one will go into your mouth. But this one can still go back into the food because you didn't stick it in your nasty mouth. Oh, wow. That seems quite perfect to me. Just like that. You know, I don't need to put it back in there. Why am I putting it in there? I'm just going to do this. All right. It's lovely. The chocolate has melted in. And now to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of an herb powder. So I'm using herbs 2 ways. I infused it into the coconut cream and then removed that. That's for fibrous herbs. And now I'm just adding in powdered herbs to this. And so with powdered herbs, I do want to be mindful. I know some people who make herbal chocolates will just like powder all sorts of things and put them in there. And that's great. We all get to do things the way that we want them. I don't like fibrous bits in my chocolate. I like a smoother consistency. So the powders that I tend to throw in here are going to be those powders with a nice consistency. Cindy, you feel me about the carob. Yeah, okay. Rose is completely brilliant, and oh, Seth, if you've never tried Rose and Damiana, you are missing out. It is really one of the things in life. And it's one of my default combinations. I almost always go to Rose and Damiana. If it's either one of them, Rose, why yes, and let's bring Damiana on. Or if it's Damiana, why yes, but you know, Rose would be lovely in there too. Another thing that I didn't throw in there but totally could have, orange peel to give some brightness and lightness to that, that combination. I am going to add in, so here's my powders. I'm going to add in some Baobab powder. I really love Baobab powder. It's sort of citrusy. It's the fruit of the Baobab tree. It's got sort of a citrusy flavor. It's got lots of vitamin C, and that citrus flavor I really like with chocolate. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that in. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of starchiness, a little bit of sourness, tartness, and then a very high amount of fiber. It's very, very fiber rich, so it'll help with the poop and help with general gut health. And let's see, I'm going to throw in, just because this is another kind of the third of the group of friends who like to play together, is Rose and Damiana and Shatavari, or Shatavari, tomato. I'm going to throw in a little bit less than a tablespoon of Shatavari in there. Shatavari is a yin tonic. It's a plant that helps to increase kind of moisture, and I like that because the Damiana and the Rose both tend to be a little bit drying and astringent, so the Shatavari just kind of brings a little bit of moisture in and balances out that energetic push over to the side. This is starting to cool, so I'm going to throw it into, I will stop and talk about recipes and therapeutics. Oh, I forgot something, but I want to get this into the molds quickly. But before I do, I have two plain ones because some people like plain. But I'm also going to throw in, I'll pick that up later, some goji berries. About that much goji berries. With the mix-ins like this, you can measure. Measuring is good and important, but you can also just kind of throw in, and cacao nibs. And I like those for textural support. While I don't like fibrous herby texture, I do love chewy, crunchy texture. And so the goji and goji berries and cacao nibs give that really nice little fruity, crunchy, nutty thing, which is very pleasing. So I'm just throwing these into some molds. I have these silicone molds that work well. You could also just kind of pat this out into a pan, line it with some parchment paper, or butter it, but parchment paper works best. And then cut them when they're done. That's fine. These silicone molds are nice because they're just like perfect little chocolate-sized things. I must say, I really hate the color of these. It's just, I'm not a pink kind of person at the best of times, but this color pink just makes me mad. But the size of the forms is perfect for me, so, you know, I can just be mad. I can be mad and it's not going to change the color of the forms, and I bought them. It's not like someone forced these onto me. So stop your whining, Julie. Okay, so I'm just removing the air in there and topping off the recipe. These are mostly going to be for me and friends. So I'm using my fingers in there, and I don't have gloves and all of that. Of course, if you're making these for other folks, you're going to observe all appropriate common sense hygiene. But for myself, I wash my hands, and that's good enough. All right, there. The rest, yeah, there's still some in there. This is the right of cooks to have. If you're making something, you get to lick out the bowl. So that is for me to just eat all by myself later on. I'm finished with everything. I can lick off my fingers, get rid of this, and then we'll chat. Okay. So we're going to chat as this cools. Hopefully it'll cool in time. Oh yeah, oh my God, it's only 20 minutes in. I got loads of time. In which case, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to put these in the freezer. Hold on. Hold please. Alrighty. Hard part's done. Now we just get to talk about it. And then we get to try them. So, what we're doing here is we're using, oh, it's a cacao nib, a little splooge there. We used the coconut cream as a solvent to extract compounds into it. Now remember that coconut cream is mostly fat. It's going to be extracting mostly fat-soluble compounds. So I wouldn't put something like oat straw or horsetail or anything that was like really mineral rich. We're not going to expect polar compounds to come out into that coconut cream. So remember that when you're using coconut cream as your solvent, because I wanted mostly the aromatic compounds from the roses. Some of the other constituents aren't oil soluble, but those aromatics are, and so the coconut cream was really preferentially pulling those out. So that was fine. Damiana, again, a lot of those aromatics are some of the reasons that I want that Damiana in there. However, when we added the powders to the base, now we're not talking about extraction of constituents, right? We weren't using the chocolate itself as a solvent, as a menstruum. We were using it as a carrier. So when we add in the powders, we're just getting the whole powders in there, and solubility of plant constituents is not an issue with that. So we can think about that when you're throwing other things in your powders. We'll get into other powders that will go in there. Let me catch up on stuff. Hi, Des, you landowner, you. Since you mentioned orange peel, I made an unsweetened dark chocolate bar with orange peel, crystallized ginger, dang, Des, and something else that a client could use as a bitter digestive, but the little bits of sweetened ginger brightened it up. You know, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah. So you have both the carminative and stimulating, digestive stimulating, warming, dispersing effects of the ginger and the bitterness. You're so clever. God, I am so impressed with your medicine making just always, but yeah. The dusty, exactly, Danielle. Exactly. Dusty Rose pisses me off. But I love silicone. Silicone molds are one of the greatest things that have hit. Yeah, Stacy, we'll talk about maca powder. Yeah, Julia, chocolate waits for no one. I had to just really get in there. Now I'm like resting. My stress levels going down now that I got that in the thing. Okay, I think I caught up with everyone. Jenny, you can totally add tinctures to the mix if you are cautious about it. Okay, so I want to go through all of the different parts of that to make sure that I cover everything. So the coconut cream, yeah, so fat-soluble compounds. Now another thing, I was going to do 2 different recipes because I couldn't decide which one to do, but that just would have been too much for this class. But the other infusion that I was going to do was going to be the orange peel and vanilla bean, because orange and vanilla bean infused coconut milk is also a very, very nice carrier. So lots of options. Those aromatics are really going to move into the coconut cream. Let's see. So your cacao discs, I told you the options for the cacao or cocoa. The sugars, sweeteners, you could throw monk fruit in there. So sometimes when you're making herbal products that are sweetened, you want to be mindful of whether the sweetener is acting as a preservative, as it often does in the case of making like a syrup, right? In a syrup, when you add in honey or you add in sugar, it's not just for the sweetening effect. It's because the honey and the sugar are good preservatives and they are extending your shelf life. So if you try to use something like coconut sugar or erythritol or monk fruit or xylitol or lohan fruit or any of these other, or stevia, those are going to give it sweetness, but they're not going to be a preservative. So whenever you're messing around with recipes, mess around with recipes. I encourage you, you have my blessing, but understand the components and what they do. So you can so you don't have to worry about that with this one, because the sweetener in here is just sweetening. It's not really lending anything. So go ahead and explore. Now you could also use glycerides as a sweetener. So if you make a rose cardamom, I should have done that. Oh, I should have done that. I just pressed some rose cardamom glycerin. And so I could have thrown some glycerin in there as a sweetener. A little bit of glycerin is fine. Too much glycerin and it'll get it'll get sticky. The finished product will be sticky, but that would be good. Let's see. So the question of tinctures came up, adding in tinctures. So you can add in glycerides, that's fine. Tinctures, however, chocolate is really reactive. That's why I had to like stop talking, and I was trying to talk and trying to do that at the same time, and it doesn't work. You need to respect the chocolate. Someone said earlier, you got to respect the chocolate. And one of the things that can go wonky with chocolate is if you throw in too much of a tincture, tiny little bits of tincture, and I would put them into the coconut cream, not into the chocolate itself, because it'll definitely seize up. It'll just seize up, and you'll just have these big rigid chunks of chocolate. What's the term for that? I think there's another term, but basically it just seizes up. A weird chemical reaction that I'm not sure what the mechanism is happens to chocolate all the time. And so that's the problem with putting tinctures directly into the chocolate. So tinctures into the coconut cream, let them simmer for a little while. It does mean if that tincture is of an aromatic compound, you might be losing some of that, but you are also you're dispersing that alcohol so that it's not going to go, the alcohol isn't going to hit the chocolate all at once. In the cream base, you're more likely to be able to throw it in there. Nettles would be great. However, nettles, vanilla bean, oh yeah, and Des just said that. Yes. Quince fruit streaked into the cream. Ha ha ha. Oh, I love quince so much. Oh, wow, that sounds just delightful. So I don't know. So quince is a rose family plant. So I would guess rose family plants are known for their, well, they're known for their tannins. Quince is a perfect example of that, right? Unripe quince. Unripe quince is one of the most tannic things around, but as it ripens, the tannins are reduced, and you have more of those kind of that sugar and sweetness and softness coming up. Essential oils can also seize up the chocolate. Again, you can disperse them into the cream, always remembering that the vast majority of essential oils are not for internal use. There are a few that you can use. I would use extracts before that. And I am not going to go into a rant on internal use of essential oils, but be mindful, be respectful. Don't do dangerous things with essential oils. Let's see. So you can add tinctures, you can add glycerides, you can also add, oh, and I was going to do this, you can add, if you have a really good tasting, I'm totally not doing product placement today. I know it feels like I am, and I'm not meaning to. It's just there are some things that I really love. This is my new favorite fish oil. I'm going on a focus of taking 2.5 grams combined EPA DHA, just because I've been having so much wonkiness in my body, so I'm trying to just get my omega-3 profile up. So 2.5 grams of combined EPA DHA is a lot of fish oil. So to get that, you really do need to go to a liquid. And this one is seriously delicious. It's really, really, really tasty. And it has some astaxanthin in it, which is a carotenoid, which is a really, really therapeutic carotenoid. And some turmeric, because everyone does turmeric everywhere, and it has a mango flavor, which isn't whole mango, which I can't eat, but the mango flavor seems to be fine. Anyway, you could absolutely throw some if you have a good tasting fish oil, and good quality fish oils are totally tasty. I don't like the taste of fish, and I take 2 tablespoons of this every day happily, because it's a really good quality one. There's no oxidation of the oil, and so it tastes just fresh and oily, but really nice. The brand is Algical. Here, there you go. That's it. Really nice. Kind of pricey, but they're good. Let's see, what else was I going to? Oh, so the orange peel and vanilla recipe. Because yes, I don't have time to do another one. So orange vanilla infused coconut cream. Picture this. Strain that off onto the same cacao, and then add mushroom powders and a little bit of cayenne. So that's where. Oh, there. Lots of companies make mushroom powders, but the processed mushroom powders like this, not just ground mushrooms, they do need to be steam treated to kind of break them down, but the steam treated mushroom powders like this is the Mushroom Harvest 14 mushroom. There's a lot of really good ones on the market, mushroom powders are super yummy to go into chocolate. Mushroom and chocolate, if you've never had them, don't you look at me like that, because they're really, really, really good. Really, really, really yummy flavors. So yeah, orange peel, vanilla, and some mushroom powder, a little bit of chili, a little bit of cayenne for some spice, because spice goes beautifully with chocolate. Other add-ins that you can use. So I added in goji berries. Yeah, they're over-marketed as a superfood, but they're tasty, and I like them. I like having chewy fruit, and this is the chewy fruit that I have. You could totally throw in dried cranberries or dried blueberries or whatever dried fruit you have. This was the dried fruit that I had. Yeah, mesquite powder would be awesome, Des. That would be very, very, very good. Sean, my love, hello, baby. Oh, I miss you. Oh gosh. Mickey, hi, Mickey. I just got the chocolates into the shop, so I do have it. I don't have. I don't have the fish oil in the shop. I get it directly from the company. You just look up Algical fish oil, and you'll get it. David Hoffman says, "What are good for the liver?" Des? Oh, the goji berries. Dried jackfruit could also be yummy in there. So if you want to be kind of bold or like mess with people, if you're making chilies for them, you can, and this is really good. So again, don't roll your eyes at me. A little bit of schizandra in there. Very, very nice. Just, not overly large amounts. A little bit of schizandra, 1 or 2 berries per chocolate, is really nice. Really, really nice. So you got schizandra berries, cacao nibs. So the cacao nibs, again, if you've never had these, you are missing out. They're just the little bits of chocolate. Oh, the smell of that. So this is the cacao after it's been roasted and kind of cracked, but the it hasn't been processed into the chunks like this. It hasn't had the fiber removed to do that, and it hasn't been heated and had the cocoa butter extracted. So this is one of the least refined ways that you're likely to get cacao. They're very fatty because they are a large concentration of cocoa butter in them. Because of that, not terribly soluble in water. You can't really use the cacao nibs in formulas like in teas. It doesn't actually work all that well because they're fatty, they're buttery, and they don't appreciate water. Um, so so yeah, cacao nibs can go in there, and then one other one that I really like that I ran out of time to do, but Cotinopsis. Cotinopsis is a root that is an adaptogen. It's sometimes referred to as the poor person's ginseng, and it's a root. It's a root, but it's spongy and chewy and sweet and delicious, and it has some of those ginseng-like compounds, the glycosides that we see in, like, ginseng has ginsenosides, and eleuthera has the eleutherosides, and gynostema has the whatever they're called, sides. So Cotinopsis has similar glucosides like that, but it's just chewy and yummy. So you have to chop it up. You can't have I wouldn't have big chunks like this. So you'd want to chop it up into smaller pieces, but throw that in there and you have a little sweet chewy thing in your chocolate. So ground roasted bay nuts in your chocolate. Oh, Rocky. Hi, Rocky. That's a great idea. Dried elderberries with goji, dried blueberry, and pistachio. Oh, pistachio. Des, I remember you making a chocolate bark like that for a potluck. Oh, friends, remember potlucks? We'll have potlucks again. Yeah, that was really, really yummy. Yeah, bay nuts would be a yummy combination in there. Anyway, so I'm gonna go grab them from the freezer, and let's see if they're ready yet. Be right back. Okay, they're not quite ready yet. But here's one that I didn't fully fill, and so it was not where it was still soft. But there, I have my little chocolate. It'll be somewhat soft, but that just gives it a really unctuous, lovely flavor. It's a perfect size for a little bit of chocolate. Mm. 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 It's so good. And oh, that's really, really good. The addition of the cacao nibs in there and the goji berry really does make it that crunchiness, just like little almond bits, which you could also throw in. Yeah. Dylan, shut up. You're always throwing on pictures of, ooh, look, I made tortillas this morning, and now I'm making these tacos, and ooh, now because you are always getting me mad and hungry. I'm sorry. I kind of thought we were in. Oh wait. Sorry, but really, whiner. Carob is totally allowed. Charmaine, hi Charmaine. Carob is absolutely allowed, but I was just talking about chocolate. I wouldn't know how to. You would need to tweak the for cacao, for cocoa. So yeah, you could totally modify that, but I would go looking on. I mean, you're on the internet. You'll be able to find someone has posted a recipe for making like a cacao bar. So I would go for that recipe and then throw in all of the other things. Could absolutely carry it. All right. So go make those. Seriously, they are so yummy. And meanwhile, I will see you next week. Have fun, stay safe. Let me know if you make some chocolates, what you did, what your recipe was. And take care of yourself and take care of each other. I love you, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.